In this video I'm going to be covering the first startup of the Ortur LaserMaster 2 Pro. This is available in a couple of different versions, this being the SF or short focus, mainly aimed at engraving rather than cutting, although clearly it will also cut. There are many videos out there on how to assemble this, so I'm not going to go through that. More interestingly for me is getting it connected to my laptop and seeing how we can set it up in Lightburn. Looking on the computer then at the tech support page, you have a description and then various links for the videos, documentation and drivers. That will be the first thing to look at. Here it's telling me that it really doesn't need a special driver. Windows 10 at least should recognize it straight off the bat. We're going to see then if that's true. We have our USB connection here to the laptop. And apologies if I'm sounding rather nasal, I do have a bit of a cold right now. Let's go ahead then and power up by pressing the power button for 5 seconds or so. And there it's homed itself, and we could hear that something has been recognized by the computer. And looking in the device manager here, we can see a USB device on COM3. Going ahead now and launching Lightburn. At the moment I'm using the free trial version. Some general usage notes there. Devices, well, find my laser, let's try that. It is connected via USB, so let's go. And it has indeed found it there as a garble controller 400 by 400 on COM3. And that is what it's going to be. We shall call it OM2 Pro. Garble. Dimensions are correct. The origin is the front left, as we can see when it homed, and the auto home is set. So we're all good to go, it would appear. Windows security here, Lightburn to access the internet. That will be for checking the license key. So we shall allow that. The next step then will be to set up a piece of scrap material, as I have here, and then do a test engrave. Back in a minute. Having established then the communication between the laser and my laptop, just want to do a simple test to make sure that everything is working okay. I have a small piece of just thin cardstock which I want to engrave and cut out. I'm just going to use my channel name as a test. In Lightburn you can see a representation of the cutting and engraving area here, the 400 by 400, and I've placed my cardstock roughly in the middle here. Let's put some text on there. Grab the text button, click somewhere in the middle. There we have our letters. Choose the select tool now. I can grab that and center it more or less on the 200 by 200 point. Putting in those letters, I have here, it has automatically chosen the fill mode for me and a speed and power of 2050%. That's 2000 millimeters per minute at 50% power. If you want to see what that's going to look like, we can just click in the preview window here and play that. And we can see how that's going to engrave. All good stuff. Now I need a surround that I can cut out. If we go to the offset tool here, we can play around with the offset distance and these other parameters, but that looks reasonably good to me. I want to assign that outline to a different layer so that I can make it a cutting layer. Let's click on the red here and we can see it delineated there. If I zoom in a little, drag that down just using the mouse, we can see we have a line now and 500 millimeters per minute at 80% power as a cut. Again, going into the preview, we can see how that's going to pan out. We're almost good to go. The windows that I like to have open is obviously the laser window, the cuts and layers that we were using there, and the move. So if I click on home, it homes the device. That's all good. If you're not seeing any of these windows, you can go up to the Windows tab, and here are all the windows that you can select to switch them on and off. Another thing which I've already set up is the fire button, which is only at 1%. This is used to make sure that the engraving and cutting is going to be done on the material in the right place. For example, if we go to frame now, we can see that our text is much too big for our piece of work. If we click and drag and select everything, we can grab a corner and shrink that down and then drag it again more or less into the center. Let's try framing that. Okay, so we need to move our little piece of paper over a bit. Let's just check the framing roughly again. That looks like it's going to be within the work. At this point then, although we're at low power, safety squint's on, and if we select the fire button, we can now see a point, hopefully you can see it on the video, of the laser on the work. If we now hold down the shift key and frame again, we can follow the little dot and make sure that it is within the area of our material. All is good to go. A word of caution now before we start. It's very tempting, especially when you've got your first laser, to want to watch the progress of your job. Please, please, please do not do that. I did it once, even with the glasses and with the shield down. I had 3 or 4 days of intense grief with my eyes, having only watched it for about a minute. What I do now, you can see at the back there, I have a inexpensive IP camera. I can monitor that from my PC or indeed from my phone. That being said then, let's push the fire button and see how we get on. I shall be retiring to a safe distance in another room. Here then, on another machine, I can view the progress of the engraving at the moment, and obviously I can check that nothing's catching fire. Here we can see it's just starting the outline cut. Nearly time to go back and inspect our work. I move the gantry out the way. We can see that it looks like it's burned all the way through, but I have another little trick to show you, and that is a camera on the end of a stick. I'll leave a link down below to my other channel where I'll show you how to make one of these should you desire. If we slide this then underneath our work, we can see the outline has been cut through, and we can see on both sides. If for some reason it hadn't cut all the way through, then we could obviously run the job again without removing our work and make sure it had cut through, but it looks like we are good to go. Here then we can see a nice clear engraving job, and with a little bit of persuasion we can remove our little name tag from the job. Our first Lightburn and Ortur LaserMaster 2 Pro test. Thanks for watching.